Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon and welcome to our program Accountancy with Mahbub Murshed. I would like to thank everybody, whoever, from wherever you're watching this program. And special thank to our audience guest. Those who are watching our program on regular basis, they're probably wondering why I'm speaking in English. I always speak in Bengali because this program is designed for our Bengali community. There's a reason for this. You'll understand very soon, because among us, there's a very special guest who doesn't speak Bengali. He only speaks English. So, and also we are expecting a lot of only English-speaking viewers. So, welcome to them and welcome to everybody. Today's topics is Uber drivers and other minicab drivers accountancy. Before I talk about accountancy, I need to talk about Uber. What is Uber? What it is? When did it start? What this Uber stands for? It started with a nice story. I always like to tell a story, and this story is about two American friends. They came to Paris to attend one conference, which is technology-based conference. It was winter, it was cold, it was snowing, and they're looking for a cab in the streets of Paris. And they're finding it difficult to find a cab. So at the time, they started to, from that experience, they thought that why, they came up with a business idea. Why, as a passenger, I'll be looking for a cab, when a cab driver is probably looking for a passenger? So why don't we build a business where we can make this communication, build a bridge in between them? Like, why should I wait for a cab? Why should I look for a cab? I will use my mobile phone, a smartphone. I tap a button and order a cab, and cab driver will be coming looking for me. Will pick me up from where I am, at home, office, even a bus stop, and take me to my destination. How fantastic, how convenient. It's like having my own private driver. So from that idea, in 2009, there's two friends' name I should mention. One is Travis Kalaling, and other one is, I always forget his name, Garrett Camp. The Garrett Camp bought this domain called ubercab.com. And 2010, they experimented this idea in New York City with only 3 drivers. And in May 2010, they officially launched this Uber service in San Francisco. And since then, it's a smooth journey for them. It's a success story. Now, in 58 countries all over the world, in more than 585 cities, have Uber service. And their worth, this company worth now more than 50 billion pounds. And 1.5 million Uber drivers, approximately I should say, and of course, they recently claimed that they have made trips of 2 billion trips they have made through Ubers. So we know this success story, but is that all? Is there nothing that we should talk about? Yes, there's people will talk in favor of Uber and some against Uber, because there are some political issue, some tax implication, even some moral issues there. So even in our program, we'll be talking about Uber a lot. And we invited guests. We have in 3 segments, we'll have altogether 5 panel guests. And I'm starting this segment with 2 special guests. I always start with right. Today I'll start with left, with a new face to the program. It's Mr. James Farrar. You are founder of United Private Hire Cars. Welcome to a program. Welcome to NTV.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Right. I just mentioned you're founder of a private hire company. If you could tell me about yourself and your organization, please.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is James Farrar. I'm one of the founders of United Private Hire Drivers. I too will start with the story about how I came to be involved in United Private Hire Drivers. I was working for Uber, and one night I suffered an assault on the job, and I reported it to the police. They took a report, and they said to me, just ask Uber to identify who the passengers were so that we can go and interview them, and then we'll take the case from there. So I did do that, and I thought this is great because Uber is a technology data-rich application. This is fantastic. This is one of the great benefits of Uber, is that it's so data-rich and traceable and accountable. So I contacted Uber, and they said, no, we will not release that information to the police, or to you to give to the police. Police need to contact us. So I told the police that, and they said, but hang on, this customer is your customer, is it not? And I said, yeah, but Uber controls the information. So I contacted Uber, I contacted the police. The police came back to me a week later and said, Uber are refusing to give us this information unless we get a court order. And so this went on for 10 weeks until Uber finally released the information. And what I learned from it is that as a driver, you know, this story of Uber, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And I realized as a driver that I was on my own. I had very little rights. I had very little protection working for this app. And so I began talking to other drivers who I found immediately had similar circumstances, similar difficulties, and we got this organization running. We eventually took a case for worker rights to the UK Employment Tribunal, and we won. And so it now turns out that we do have rights, although it's a long way to go before we can actually get these rights enforced. But that's the story of how we got started.
Nice story as well. Even before you told me the story, until today I was thinking that, yes, you are safe as a Uber driver, but you are saying not really. I'll come back to that point. Let's be introduced to it our second guest, Mr. Mashir Rahman. Welcome to the program.
Welcome.
You are a well-established minicab owner of a minicab driver office, yeah?
Yes.
So tell me about your company itself.
Well, I started a very long time ago, this industry, probably about 35 years.
Oh.
A lot of
you don't look even 35.
regular client, friendly farm. We are out of central London. We have an office there. Since Uber comes, there's a lot of people moved from us to Uber because of the software they use, apps.
We'll come to that point probably.
Yeah. And
right, so your company name is?
Access cars in
okay. Where are you
Chiselhurst.
based?
Chiselhurst.
Chiselhurst, okay.
Mhm.
So you are running your business for 35 years now, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. We have a lot to know about your organization, about your experience throughout the program. Welcome to our program.
Thank you.
Right. Coming to you again. Right. You said that you have a nice story. What your organization really is, that's rights you're talking about. What rights you're talking about, if you could specifically or detail, if you could tell us?
Well, there are three main areas where drivers really need representation, private hire drivers. The one thing that the taxi trade are very good at, they are very heavily organized, very politically organized, and they are able to use their power, to leverage their power to protect their interests. And unfortunately in the private hire trade that hasn't been the case, and we've suffered because of it. And there are three main areas where we try to help the welfare of drivers. One is worker rights, to protect them from exploitation from big companies, big operators that are increasingly virtualizing themselves, passing the operational and the regulatory risk to the driver, which can have very difficult effects, right? So that's number one, worker rights to prevent economic exploitation of the driver. The second one is representation with our regulator. So over the past 2 years, Transport for London has been working very heavily on updating the regulations because of innovations like app technology and rideshare concepts. But although they recognize 5 separate taxi organizations, and let's face it, mostly taxi drivers are about 80% white, 5 organizations represent them for 25,000 drivers, but there is no dedicated representation allowed at the table for private hire drivers who are mostly 80% BAME. Now that to me seems unfair and discriminatory, but it also leaves a situation where exploitation is, discrimination and exploitation are two sides of the same coin. That unless we are represented with the regulator, who we fund largely as drivers, then the regulatory environment will work against us and the enforcement criteria will work against us. So we must have a grown-up conversation with the regulator. We feign to do that. And then the third area is in general welfare, well-being at work, representing drivers if they've had some difficulty in enforcement issues with the police, if they have difficulties with operators, if they have difficulties with contractual relationships with firms that lease them vehicles. These are all areas where drivers need much more representation and protection, and that's what we try to do. We're a free organisation. Drivers can join us at uphd.org for free. Our next meeting in London is tomorrow night, in fact, at the Hackney Chinese Centre, and visitors are very welcome.
Okay. But, I mean, I'm not involved with Uber drivers or any organization. I only can talk or speak for the passengers.
Yes.
As a passenger, I find it fantastic. As I said that in my introduction, it's so convenient. You just press a button and driver comes looking for you and you dropped your destination. What's wrong with that? I mean, why is it just you're working for the right, or you don't want Uber at all?
Oh, no, on the contrary. Yes, we want Uber in the marketplace, but if it plays by the rules, if it operates in to obeys the law and operates in an ethical, responsible way. Yes, we do want Uber, and yes, the app technology is immensely powerful and it's immensely attractive to consumers. Consumers love it, and we're not Luddites. We cannot put technology back in the toothpaste. But that's not really what this is about. This is not really about a debate about technology. It's about the fact that Uber contracts drivers in London through an entity in the Netherlands. Mm-hmm. It's about the fact that it makes those drivers who sign those contracts sign away their rights by saying that they will enter binding arbitration in the Netherlands, which is almost impossible to do. It's about the fact that Uber oversupplies this market, and so drivers earn about £5 an hour and go deeply into debt to finance vehicles in order to go and drive for Uber. It's
If it is so wrong, so how come 1.5 million Uber drivers, they are driving every day? If they are so unhappy with Uber, so they must be happy with what they're doing.
look, there's a trade-off. I mean, we're all at some point economically engaged, either working for Uber or maybe working in a restaurant or working as a delivery driver or working in retail. But we must all obey the law of the land. And what is clear from our experience is that Uber's contractual relationships with drivers violates the law. That is a clear ruling in court. So we cannot sidestep that issue.
Okay.
Even if drivers are prepared to accept contracts, and I have accepted to work for Uber under terms that are illegal, but we all must now come together and unify and say to Uber, no, we want to continue to work for you, but no, sorry, you must obey employment laws. You must pay properly.
Yes. I think, yes, you got a point there that if you don't have a voice, they will be exploited more.
Yes.
Yes. So, of course, you should have a voice for that. So, at least they will be in control bay. So, they will not break the law or bend the law in such a manner that everybody is exploited. Yeah.
Absolutely, and this is where I think we must have better leadership from the Mayor of London, from Transport from London, from the Department of Transport.
Mm-hmm.
They must understand that the regulatory model that places drivers in a dependency relationship with operators without worker rights, and then accessing a vulnerable labour pool.
Just to have, I have to take a caller.
Yes,
there's a live call. Hello, caller.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes, you are live to the.
Yeah, I'm watching your very important program about the accountancy and how the Uber going on, because you ask a very critical question.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah. Hi. Yes.
Yes.
The thing
yes.
is,
Can you turn down the volume or turn off the TV? Then it will be clear for us. We can hear you better.
Thanks. Yeah, because I got the vibration as well. Yeah, thanks. The thing is, you ask Mr. James Farrar why, if they are unhappy, why so many, like 1.2 million drivers is still working for Uber.
That's
the
right.
fact is, because James Farrar told already that we earn £5, but the thing is, we are little bit free to drive. So think about, we have to earn £100 freely, but how many trips I have to engage myself to earn
that much money?
£100?
Yes.
5 into 20 trips, then I can get £100. And maybe any other job, we can't do that freedom. That's why we are engaged in the Uber, but not doing that. But think about how hard to get the £5, and how long we are working, because I'm an Uber driver as well. I'm working how many hours? I'm working 90 to sometimes like 95 hours. So I have no time to sleep, or sometimes I'm sitting on the bed. My wife, I get only one day off. My wife says, you are just taking one day off, why are you not taking us to outside? So I said, look, I did 6 days, more than 12 hours. Now only one day I'm getting day off. If I still get on the steering, that means I am not getting day off. I'm still working, because I'm giving you time and driving some sort of area and coming back. Still I'm exhausted myself. So I need to attach on my bed and get full rest. And what sort of reply you can get from your family? What do you think?
I mean, we are looking for an example, and thank you for calling us and giving an example why you are working. Yeah. Of course, James gave us the answer, and I got an example why we don't have a choice. If I don't have money, I have to earn that money so I have to work like a donkey. Yes, that's the answer I'm getting from your call. Thank you for calling. See, James, you are looking for an answer. I was looking for an answer, and we got it.
That's a fantastic answer, and it is what we've been telling Transport for London and Uber for a long time. And I've worked 91 hours, I submitted that in evidence to the Employment Tribunal. In fact, Uber submitted that in evidence. But the problem with that is that maybe 5 years ago, that driver could have earned the same amount of money that he earns now in 90 hours. He could have probably earned that in 40 hours 5 years ago. And that's the risk, because that driver must earn that same amount of money each week in order to meet their commitments. And as Uber floods the market, and as TfL over-license that market, it forces drivers to have to work longer and longer hours. And that's inhumane and dangerous and self-defeating.
Okay, so that's a moral issue.
That is a moral issue.
Right. Is there any question from the audience?
Yes.
Yeah. If you could take the microphone to, and just ask the question, please.
Thank you very much.
Yes. No, we can hear you.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank James for to come to our community. On behalf of Bangladeshi community, I'd like to thank you. Also from BBMDA, I'm the founder of BBMDA, British Bangladeshi Minicab Drivers Association. And you know, I was listening this gentleman phone call, and I'm agree with him 100%. Because some drivers, you said you also worked 91 hours. I know a few of my members, they've been work 110 hours also.
Yes.
Yeah. So this system actually designs for this.
Yes.
Then Uber designed the system that circular. Then driver who have to work long hour.
Yes.
So I'd like to ask you. You are from United Private Hire Car Association. Are you going to work with the British Bangladesh Minicab Drivers Association for this issue, particularly English language and about the fare? A few days ago, I was talking to TfL regarding fare. Why don't TfL come out and set a price? So then Uber are taking mileage £1.25 an hour. I was a minicab driver. I worked for this state 14 years. Okay. And some mileage we worked even £4.60 3 years ago, before Uber came into market. So I think we are there because we are British Bangladeshi Minicab Drivers Association. About 12,000 Bangladeshi driver work in central London. Okay, and when I built this organization in 2014, my target was to start from that. My target was not only Bangladeshi. That's why I kept British Bangladeshi. So my request will be with you and question to you, are you going to work with us in coming events, and are you going to support British Bangladesh Minicab Drivers Association?
Right, that's an interesting question. I mean, it's not a question you're asking for support from you, to be honest. So how you can, because it's true, whether you are based outside London or London, whether you are within our community, British Bangladeshi community, or outside, but we can work together, yeah, because we have got one goal, and that goal not being exploited. We want our right, yeah.
The answer is absolutely 100,000%, Siddiq. And may I say thank you to the British Bangladeshi Minicab Drivers Association. I'm aware of the work that you're doing. You're doing fantastic work. I've seen some of your lobbying of Transport for London, your consultation work, and even some of your public protest work recently outside City Hall. So congratulations and well done for that. And what I would say is that, look, you know, when I told my story at the beginning of how we started and what got me interested in this, I want to emphasize that we are a campaigning organization. We don't charge subscriptions. We're not interested in building an institution. We're interested in fighting for drivers. And we will work with anybody, everybody. And we tell our members, go join the other organizations. We're not exclusive. And tell them to join us. We will work with anybody and everybody who will help us. So yes, please.
Also, I would like to add another thing if you give me a chance for this. Thank you very much.
You'll be coming to our second segment, so we'll hold on to that, because this is, to be honest,
One thing, just
for
I'll take 30 seconds. Okay, basically, it's not only issue is not English language only.
Yes.
Driver safety is very important.
Yes.
Basically, Uber, we want Uber. Not only Uber, even more online companies, more minicab offices we need in London. But for the driver safety, Uber didn't take any initiative for the driver safety.
No.
Say example is there is no any direct telephone number. You cannot call. Say example 3 o'clock at night, if driver attacked by a customer, this can be happen anytime.
Yes.
But you have to left a message, their voice, whatever the email or message box, then they will come back to you after 2, 3, 4 hours later. By that time you will be dead.
Yes.
So in regards, are you guys doing anything
Yes.
with Ubers?
Yes, may I answer that? It is a very important point, and it is the genesis of our organization was safety. And we did a survey. 51% of minicab drivers have been physically assaulted on the job. 57% have been racially abused on the job. Now, in the old days, drivers, or in the current days, drivers working for good firms like Mr. Rahman's, they could call the base, and Mr. Rahman would radio the other cars in the area, go and help this driver, he's in trouble. And when these local drivers would show up, you know, the situation would calm down. But now, you know, the irony about working for Uber is that you're never more connected, but you're never more alone. Now, we have asked Uber for a panic app. You open the Uber app as a consumer, you can see the cars all around you. But as a driver, you can't contact them. We asked for a panic button so that, you know, your peers, your colleagues could come and help you if you had a problem. They won't do it. We've told Transport for London that we should have 24-hour emergency number, 24-hour emergency cover at Uber in London. They didn't listen, and so there is no driver, real-time driver support.
Right,
That's
James,
crazy.
I have to stop you there because the time is not permitting me anymore.
Of course.
But you are not leaving, to be honest. You might be leaving my side, but you may join our audience because I'm sure a lot to discuss, a lot of questions might come. So if you could join in the second segment,
I
and we'll be
certainly
talking.
will. Could I make one more important point before I go?
You're not going.
Very quickly.
You're not going.
Worker rights is so important, and people must understand that when we're fighting for worker rights, we are not fighting for an employment relationship with Uber. Worker rights means that you continue to be self-employed, but it means you are entitled to a minimum wage to earn every time you put a floor in the market.
Very important point, and I'll be coming back to
come
you
back to
because this is something that I need to discuss.
Yes, please.
Probably in the second segment. Time is up for this segment, this part. Whoever watching this program at home or wherever, if you've got any question, anything to share, please ring us, and we'll see you after the break.